Welcome to Unlocking Passion, Men Report. Let's begin with a new story. Robert Langford stood in a dusty village 2 hours north of Pattaya and asked the locals whether they had ever heard of the Promwong family. Nobody knew them. The land he had supposedly bought for £210,000 did not exist. The woman he had called his fiancée had vanished like smoke. He was 66 years old and stood in the Thai heat with printed bank transfers in his hands, each one showing every pound he had saved during 43 years as a bus driver through the winters in Leeds, all gone, willingly transferred to a 24-year-old bar hostess who had called him husband and promised him forever. The village chief looked at Bob with pity and shrugged. No Promwong family here, never. Bob's hands shook as he looked at the papers. Land documents with official stamps, building permits with government seals, contracts with signatures. All professionally forged, all completely worthless. But 8 months earlier, when he was sitting in his cold house in Leeds, 4 weeks after his wife Margaret's funeral, Bob had no idea what was coming for him. Months earlier, he thought moving to Thailand would save him from the loneliness that was crushing him like a weight he could not lift. He thought he would start again. Instead, he walked straight into the most elaborate fraud of his life. If you enjoy the stories I create, please consider pressing the subscribe button. Your support is essential for the growth of this channel and helps me find time to create these videos despite my commitment to a full-time job. Thank you for being here. Robert Langford, everyone called him Bob, turned 66 on a gray January morning in 2024. He woke up alone in the house in Hare Hills, Leeds, that he had shared with Margaret for years. The bed felt too big, the house felt too quiet, everything felt wrong. Margaret had died 4 weeks earlier, on December 7. Pancreatic cancer. From diagnosis to death, 11 months. Bob had been with her at the hospice at the end and had held her hand while she slipped away. Her final words were about the garden. She reminded him to prune the roses in the spring. He had not touched the garden since. He could not bear it. The roses could die, as far as he cared. Bob had worked for First West Yorkshire Buses for 43 years, starting as a driver at 23 and working his way up to route supervisor by 50. It was decent work, steady pay, a good pension, reliable. For decades, he had driven the same routes through Leeds, knew every street, every stop, every regular passenger. He had retired at 60 with a full pension. 43 years of contributions meant he would receive £22,000 a year, about £1,800 a month. Together with his state pension and the value of his house, he was secure. Not rich, but safe. His house in Hare Hills was worth about £270,000. He had bought it in 1986 for £39,000 and watched it slowly gain value over almost 40 years. It was an ordinary 3-bedroom terraced house. Nothing special, but solid and paid off. Bob and Margaret had raised 3 children there. Susan was now 41 and lived in Manchester with her husband and 2 teenagers. Paul worked in London for some finance company. David lived in Australia, had moved there 10 years earlier, and rarely came back. After Margaret's funeral, the children stayed for 2 days. They helped sort through some of her things, made sympathetic sounds, and told Bob to call if he needed anything. Then they left, back to their lives, their families, their own worries. Susan called once a week. Awkward conversations, in which she asked whether he was eating properly, and he lied and said yes. Paul sent occasional text messages. David had not contacted him since the funeral. Bob understood. They were busy. They had their own lives. But understanding did not make the loneliness easier. January in Leeds was dark by 4 in the afternoon. Rain that never quite stopped. Cold that crept into the bones. Bob woke up every morning, made tea, sat in the kitchen, stared at Margaret's empty chair, and wondered what the point of it all was. He tried to keep himself busy, went to the pub twice a week to meet old work colleagues, watched football, did the shopping, cooked meals for one person that he barely ate. But every activity felt hollow, acting instead of living. One evening in late January, unable to sleep, Bob started watching YouTube videos. The algorithm offered him content about emigrating in retirement. He clicked on one about Thailand, British pensioners living in Pattaya and talking about the warm weather, the low cost of living, and the friendly people. An old fellow from Manchester said, "Best decision I ever made, leaving Britain. Out here, your pension goes 3 times as far. The weather is fantastic. People actually smile at you." Bob watched video after video. Expats showed their apartments, nice places for £300 a month. Meals for £2 or £3, beer cheaper than water, sunshine all year round, and also other things they did not say directly but showed in the footage. Older British men with younger Thai women, smiling couples in restaurants, walking on the beach, looking happy in a way Bob had not felt for years. He told himself that was not the attraction, but late at night, alone in his too big bed, he thought about it. He thought about companionship, about feeling wanted again, about not being alone. Thailand began to feel less like a holiday destination and more like an answer. In February, Bob contacted an estate agent. His house was in good condition. Margaret had kept it immaculate. The agent suggested putting it up for a quick sale. Susan called when she found out. "Dad, what are you doing? Where are you going to live?" "Thailand," he said. "I'm going to properly retire there." "Thailand? Dad, you've never even been there. There are plenty of British lads there. Whole communities of pensioners. It's warm, it's cheap, it's beautiful, but you don't know anyone. What if you hate it? Then I'll come back. But I can't stay here, Susan. This house, this town, everywhere I look, your mother is there. I'm drowning here." She was quiet. When she argued again, her voice was softer. "I understand. I'm just worried you'll be so far away. You hardly visit me now, and I'm only 2 hours down the M62. Distance doesn't matter much when everyone is too busy anyway." He regretted the words immediately. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. That was unfair." "No," she said quietly. "You're right. We should visit more. We should call more. I'm sorry, Dad." But they both knew nothing would change. She had her life. He had to find something that looked like life. The house sold in 3 weeks for £270,000. After paying the last bills and the estate agent, Bob had about £262,000 net. He took his pension as a lump sum. With the deduction for early withdrawal, he received £168,000 instead of £22,000 a year. Together with some savings, Bob had £435,000. Enough to live extremely well in Thailand for the rest of his life. enough never to worry about money again if he was sensible, or enough to lose everything if he was not. Bob sold or donated most of his possessions. Furniture, Margaret's clothes, which he could not properly go through 40 years of accumulated life. He kept some photographs, important documents, and Margaret's wedding ring on a chain around his neck. On March 21, 2024, Bob locked the door of his empty house for the last time, took a taxi to Manchester Airport, and boarded a flight to Bangkok. 2 suitcases, a one-way ticket, £435,000 in his bank account, everything he knew left behind. As the plane took off, Bob touched Margaret's ring through his shirt. "I hope I'm doing the right thing, love. I can't do this without you. Not here. Maybe somewhere new." England disappeared beneath the clouds. Bob ordered a whiskey and tried to feel excited instead of frightened. The heat in Bangkok was shocking. Well over 30 degrees at 11 o'clock at night, with humidity that felt like breathing through a wet towel. After Leeds in March, cold rain and gray sky, the heat felt almost aggressive. Bob had booked a hotel in Pattaya based on YouTube recommendations. British men in the videos said Pattaya was the place where pensioners gathered, cheaper than Bangkok, right by the beach, with plenty of expat bars and restaurants. The taxi from Bangkok cost him 1,600 baht, about £40. Expensive, but he was too exhausted from the flight to negotiate. They drove through the night past industrial areas and sleeping towns until the highway opened up, and Bob saw the sea, a dark mass reflecting the city. Then suddenly, they were on Beach Road, surrounded by neon lights, bars with girls standing outside, massage salons with pink lights, 7-Elevens on every corner. It was overwhelming, chaotic, nothing like the quiet suburbs he knew. And part of him loved it immediately. The energy, the noise, the feeling that life was actually happening here. His hotel was called the Golden Palace, a mid-range place on 2nd Road. The lobby was cool, with white tiles and artificial plants. A young Thai man at reception checked him in with a smile, called him sir, and asked about his flight. His room was small but clean. Double bed, tiny bathroom, balcony overlooking the street. Bob stood on that balcony in the warm night air, watched the neon lights, heard music thundering from the bars below, and felt something shift in his chest. This was it. New life, new beginning, no more cold, no more loneliness, no more empty house full of memories. He spent his first week simply existing, walking along Beach Road at sunrise when it was quieter. He found breakfast places that served English breakfasts alongside Thai food. He discovered Walking Street, the main entertainment district, bars and clubs packed together, girls everywhere calling to men passing by. Bob felt out of place on Walking Street. Too old, too decent, too British. The other tourists were younger, louder, already drunk by midday. But there were also older expats, British, American, European men his age or older, often with young Thai women on their arms. Everything was cheap in a way that felt surreal. A full English breakfast cost 90 baht, about £2.20. Beer cost 40 baht a pint, just over £1. His hotel room cost 1,000 baht a night, £24. Bob kept calculating. If he rented an apartment for 8,000 baht a month, about £200, and spent another 10th on food and entertainment, he could live well on 18,000 baht a month. That was about £450. His pension would cover that twice over. His money could last for decades if he was careful. But the loneliness was still there. He sat in restaurants and watched couples, old foreign men with young Thai women, and felt that familiar ache. He went back to his hotel alone every evening and lay awake in the dark, reaching for Margaret out of habit. The YouTube videos had made it look as if companionship would simply materialize, as if Thai women were naturally attracted to Western men. But Bob did not know how any of it worked. He had been married since he was 24. He had never had to navigate dating, especially not in a foreign country with different rules and languages. In his second week, Bob started looking for something permanent. He needed an apartment, a place that felt like home and not like a hotel. He looked at half a dozen places, some too expensive, some too run-down, some in areas that felt dodgy even by Pattaya standards. He found a studio apartment in a building on Soi Buakaw. Nothing fancy, but clean, furnished with a bed, sofa, small kitchen, and balcony. 12,000 baht a month, about £300. He signed a 6-month lease and moved in. Having his own apartment helped. He could cook when he wanted, proper British food when he was homesick, or try Thai dishes from the market. He established routines, morning walks, lunch in the same few restaurants, afternoons at the hotel pool, where he still had access. In the evenings he watched downloaded British television shows. But he was still alone, still felt invisible, still wondered whether moving to Thailand had been a mistake. Then he met Luke. Bob's first real night out in Pattaya was in his 3rd week. He had avoided the bar scene, uncomfortable with the whole setup. But one evening, restless and lonely, he walked down the Soi until he found a small bar that looked less intimidating than the others. It was called Lucky Lady, a typical Pattaya beer bar with open sides, a pool table, a few high tables, and girls sitting on stools scrolling through their phones. Music played at a reasonable volume. It felt less aggressive than other places. Bob sat at the bar. A middle-aged Thai woman, the mamasan who ran the place, smiled at him. "Welcome." "First time here?" "Yes," Bob said. "Moved to Pattaya a few weeks ago." "Ah, welcome to Pattaya. You want drink?" "Chang beer, please." One of the girls came over, young, maybe mid-20s, with long black hair and a sweet smile. She wore denim shorts and a simple tank top, less flashy than the others. "Hello," she said shyly. "You live now in Pattaya?" "Trying to," Bob said. "From England." "Leeds. I know Leeds. Manchester United plays there sometimes." Bob laughed. "That's Manchester, love. Different city, though we have Leeds United." She giggled at her mistake. "Sorry. I'm not good with England geography. My name Jintana. Everyone call me Luck. I'm Bob. Robert, but everyone calls me Bob." "Nice to meet you, Bob." She sat on the stool beside him without asking, which he had learned was how these bars worked. You bought them drinks. They sat with you. You chatted. Simple transaction. But Luke did not immediately ask for a drink. She simply talked. "You retired here?" she asked. "Yes. My wife died a few months ago. Needed a change. Couldn't stay in Leeds anymore." Her face softened with what looked like genuine sympathy. "I'm sorry. That very sad. You must love her very much. 38 years married. Hard to let go. My father died 3 years ago," Luck said quietly. "I understand. The missing never stops. They talked for 2 hours. She told him about growing up in a small village in Isan, Thailand's poor northeastern region. Her father had died in a motorbike accident. Her mother was sick. Diabetes, high blood pressure. Luke had come to Pattaya to work and send money home. "I not like work in bar," she said, looking down at her hands. "But money better here. I send 20,000 baht every month to my mother. Help medicine, help bills." "That's a lot of responsibility for someone your age," Bob said. "I oldest child. My job take care family," she shrugged. "That is Thailand." Bob bought her a few drinks. Lady drinks at 120 baht each, about 3 pounds. The mamasan got a share. Luck got a share. Everyone knew the system, but Luck never pressured him. She simply talked, listened, laughed at his jokes about the weather in Leeds. "You nice man," she said when the bar closed around 1 in the morning. "Not like most customers. Most wants go short time right away. But you just talk. Kind." "I'm too old for short time," love, Bob said, though he was not entirely sure whether that was true. She smiled. "You not old. You handsome. Like English gentlemen." Bob felt something warm in his chest. Something he had not felt since Margaret died. Someone thought he was handsome. Someone enjoyed his company. Someone saw him. "Can I see you again?" he asked. "Maybe tomorrow." "You want see me?" "Yes, if you want." Her smile widened. "I want very much. I not work tomorrow afternoon. We can meet, maybe go beach." They exchanged phone numbers. Bob walked back to his apartment, feeling lighter than he had in months, maybe years. He had someone to see, someone who smiled when he spoke, someone who made him feel less alone. That night, lying in bed, he touched Margaret's ring through his shirt. "I know it's only been a few months, love, but I can't keep living like I'm dead too. I need something. Someone. I hope you understand." The next afternoon, Luke met him at his apartment. She had changed into a simple summer dress, her hair loose around her shoulders. They walked together to Pattaya Beach, found a quiet spot away from the tourist crowds, sat on the sand, and talked. She told him more about her family. Her mother needed expensive medicine that was not covered by the Thai health system. Her younger brother was still in school. They were barely getting by. Bob wanted to help. "How much does your mother's medicine cost?" "Too much. Maybe 5,000 baht every month. But I not ask you for money. I just tell you my life. I know you're not asking. But 5,000 baht is only about 120 pounds. That's nothing to me. I could help." She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "You just meet me. Why you want help? Because you work in a bar, you hate to help your family. That's admirable. If I can make it a little easier, why not?" She hugged him then, suddenly and tightly, her face pressed against his chest. "You very good man, Bob. Very good heart." After that, they became inseparable. Luke finished work at the bar around midnight, and Bob picked her up. They got late-night food from street stalls, sat on the beach talking until sunrise, fell asleep together in his apartment. Within a week, she started calling him husband. "My husband so handsome," she said, kissing his cheek. "My husband take good care of me." It felt fast. Bob knew it was fast, but after months of crushing loneliness, having someone who wanted to be with him felt like oxygen after drowning. She moved into his apartment after 2 weeks, simply gradually, bringing clothes, staying every night, cooking him breakfast. She cleaned the apartment, did his laundry, made sure he ate properly. It felt domestic, real, as if he had a partner again. "You should leave the bar," Bobs said one evening. "I don't like that you work there. I don't like other men touching you, buying you drinks. I need money for my mother," she said. "I cannot just quit. I'll give you money for your mother. 20,000 baht a month. The same as what you sent, plus money for yourself. You don't have to work there anymore." She began to cry. "You really do that? You really take care of me? I want you to be happy. I want us to build something together. I love you, Bob," she whispered. "I know too soon to say, but I love you." Bob's heart hammered. He had not said those words to anyone except Margaret in 40 years. But when he looked at Luke, this beautiful young woman who made him feel alive again, he knew it was true. "I love you too," he said. Luke quit the bar the next day. Bob gave the mama-san 5,000 baht, about 120 pounds, as compensation for losing a worker. The mama-san smiled knowingly and said, "Take care of her. She good girl." Life with Luke felt easy. She woke up before Bob every morning, made coffee, cooked breakfast, sometimes Thai food, sometimes attempted an English breakfast with mixed success. She cleaned the apartment while he read the news on his laptop. They spent afternoons exploring Pattaya together, or simply lying on the beach. Bob gave her 25,000 baht a month, about 600 pounds, 20,000 for her mother, 5,000 for personal expenses. She was always grateful, always said it was too much, that he was too kind. His expat friends noticed. He had met a few other British men. Roger from Manchester, Colin from Birmingham, Derek from somewhere in Scotland. They met at the Pig and Whistle, a British pub on Soi Bua Khao, drank cheap beer, and watched Premier League matches. When Bob brought Luke to meet them, the reactions were mixed. "A bit young, isn't she?" Roger said quietly when Luke went to the toilet. "She's 24, Bob said defensively. "And you're 66, mate." "I'm just saying, be careful." "Careful of what? She's good to me. Makes me happy." Colin leaned forward. "How much are you giving her a month?" "That's between us, which means a lot." "Bob, I'm not judging, but I've been here 8 years. I've seen this story 100 times. Young girl, older bloke, promises of love. Then suddenly, she needs money for a sick water buffalo, or land investments, or—" "She's not like that," Bob interrupted. "She left the bar. She lives with me. She doesn't ask for anything." "Not yet," Derek muttered. Bob stopped going to the Pig and Whistle as often. They were just cynical old bastards who had been burned and could not believe anyone else might find something real. In May, 2 months after meeting Luck, Bob's apartment lease was due for renewal. Luke suggested finding a house instead. "Apartment too small," she said. "You deserve nice place. Real home, not rented room. Houses are expensive, not here. We can rent nice house, 2 bedrooms, garden, maybe 25,000 baht a month. Only 600 pounds. Much better than apartment." They looked at houses for a week and eventually found a beautiful place in a quiet neighborhood. 2 bedrooms, small garden, parking for a motorbike, gated compound. The rent was 30,000 baht a month, about 750 pounds, more than Bob wanted to spend, but Luck loved it. This our home, husband. Real home for real family. He signed a 1-year lease and paid 6 months in advance, 180,000 baht, about 4,500 pounds. Luke cried with happiness. She decorated the house carefully, bought plants, cushions, pictures for the walls. She cooked elaborate meals. She introduced Bob to her friends, other Thai women with foreign boyfriends, and they all went to restaurants and karaoke bars together. Bob felt part of something, part of a community. He was no longer just a sad old man. He had a partner, a home, a social life. He was happy. Then Luck mentioned the motorbike. "My village 3 hours from Pattaya," she said one evening. "I want visit my mother, but taxi too expensive. If I have motorbike, I can go easy. You can ride a motorbike?" "Of course. All Thai people can. I ride since 14. How much does a motorbike cost?" "Good one, maybe 60,000 baht. New or almost new. 60,000 baht was about 1,500 pounds. Not cheap, but not unreasonable either. And if it meant Luke could visit her mother regularly, it was worth it." They went to a motorbike dealer together. Luck chose a red Honda Click 150. Sporty, but practical. With helmet, insurance, and registration, the total came to 68,000 baht, 1,700 pounds. Bob paid in cash. Luck was ecstatic, hugged him in front of the shop, called him the best husband in the world. She drove them home on the new motorbike. Bob held on at the back, felt the wind and the sun, and thought this was what freedom felt like. That night, lying in bed in their rented house, Luck brought up something new. "Bob, I want to tell you something about my family." "What is it, love?" "My family has land in my village, 5 rai, that like 2 acres, I think. My father bought long time ago before he died, but land just empty. Nobody use it. Why not? No money to develop. My mother want build small resort, just few rooms, maybe restaurant for tourists who want see real Thailand, not only Pattaya. But need money to build." Bob's stomach tightened slightly. "How much money?" "I don't know exactly. Maybe few million baht." "But Bob, I not ask you for money. I just tell you dream, family dream. How many million baht are we talking about?" "Maybe 6 or 7 million baht to do properly. Build 5 or 6 rooms, small restaurant, swimming pool, make very nice. 6 or 7 million baht was about 150,000 pounds to 175,000 pounds. A huge amount, over a third of his total savings. That's a lot of money, look. I know. That why only dream. We never have that much money." She kissed his cheek. "But nice to dream together." Yes, Bob lay awake after she fell asleep, thinking about the resort idea. It was not completely crazy. Thailand's tourism industry was huge. A small resort in an authentic village, away from Pattaya's dirt, marketed to tourists who wanted real cultural experiences. It could work. And if he invested, it would be their business together, their future. Proof that this relationship was real. That they were building something lasting together. Over the next 2 weeks, Luke brought up the resort more often. She showed him photos of her family's land, beautiful images of rice fields with mountains in the background. She talked about her vision, traditional Thai bungalows, an open-air restaurant with authentic Isan food, day trips to local temples and markets. "We could run it together," she said. "You manage business side. You good with management from bus company. I take care Thai side, staff, suppliers, permits. We build something beautiful, Bob." something that lasts. What about your mother? Where would she live? She lives on property, in big house we build for her. She would be so happy. No more worry about money. She can just enjoy life. Finally, the idea grew in Bob. He had £435,000. He had maybe spent £20,000, leaving about £415,000. If he invested £175,000 in the resort, he would still have £240,000 left. Enough to live on, and the resort could generate income. If it worked, they would have monthly profits. If it did not, he would still have enough to live comfortably. His daughter Susan called in June. They had been texting, but had not really spoken since he left England. "Dad, how are you?" "Really? I'm doing great, sweetheart." "Really great. I have news, actually." "What news?" "I've met someone. A Thai woman named Luck. We live together." Long pause. "How old is she?" "Does that matter?" "Dad, yes, it matters." "How old?" 24. "Jesus Christ, Dad. She's younger than Paul." "I know how old she is. And she makes me happy. First time I've been happy since your mother died." "I'm sure she does." "How much money have you given her?" "That's none of your business." "It is absolutely my business." "Dad, these women target lonely old men. I'm not some doddering fool being scammed." "Susan, Luck loves me. We have a life together. We're even thinking about starting a business." "A business?" "Dad, please tell me you haven't invested any money." "Not yet, but we're considering it. A small resort in her village. It could be really successful." "Dad, listen to me. Do not give her money. Do not invest in any business. Please. These are classic scams. She's playing you. You don't know her. You don't know anything about our relationship. I know she is decades younger than you and talking about business investments. That is all I need to know." Bob hung up angrily. His children did not understand. They never visited him, barely called, but suddenly they cared. Suddenly, they had opinions about his life. He pushed their concerns away and focused on what felt real. Look, their home, their future together. In July, Luke suggested that Bob visit her village, see the land for himself, meet her mother, see the location, understand the potential. They rode 3 hours north on Luck's motorbike, leaving Pattaya behind for rural Thailand, rice fields, small villages, water buffalo grazing beside roads. It was beautiful, peaceful, everything Pattaya was not. Luck's village was called Bon Kok, a small cluster of wooden houses, dirt roads, locals staring curiously at the foreign man arriving on the back of a motorbike. Her mother's house was modest. Old wooden structure, tin roof, chickens wandering in the yard, but her mother was warm, a tiny woman who smiled kindly, although she spoke no English. She fed them an elaborate meal of Isan food, kept patting Bob on the arm, and said things in Thai that made Luck laugh. "She says you too handsome for me," Luke translated, grinning. After lunch, they rode out to see the land. It was beautiful. 5 rai of flat land, bordered by trees, mountains visible in the distance, a small stream running along one edge. Bob could see the potential immediately. Bungalows here. Restaurant there. Pool in the middle. "What you think?" Luke asked. "It's beautiful. Really beautiful. He could create something special here." "I know we could." They met Luck's uncle, a man named Somchai, who supposedly handled family business matters. He was maybe 50, well-dressed, professional looking, and spoke decent English. Somchai had papers, rough plans for bungalow layouts, cost estimates, permit requirements. It all looked legitimate. Official stamps, government letterheads, detailed budgets. Total cost may be 6.5 million baht, Somchai explained. Land already belonged family, so only building cost. 5 bungalows, restaurant, pool, landscaping, furniture, permits, everything. 6.5 million baht was about a 162,500 pounds. Family cannot afford, Somchai continued. But if foreign partner invest, we build together. Share profit. Very good business, Bob asked practical questions. How long would construction take? What were the projected earnings? What were the operating costs? Somchai had answers for everything. 6 months construction. Full occupancy could generate 200,000 baht monthly profit. Operating costs around 50,000 a month. The numbers worked. At 150,000 baht monthly net profit, about 3,750 pounds, Bob would recover his investment in less than 4 years. After that, pure profit. I need to think about it, Bob said. Somchai nodded. Of course. Big decision. But market very good now. Tourists want authentic Thailand experience. This perfect location. Perfect time. On the ride back to Pattaya, Look was quiet. You don't want do it, she finally said. I didn't say that. I said I need to think. You don't trust me. That's not true. My family show you everything. Real land, real plans, real chance. But you still not believe. Luck, it's 160,000 pounds. That is a huge amount of money. I need to think carefully. She did not speak for the rest of the ride. When they got home, she went straight to bed without saying good night. Bob lay awake, guilt gnawing at him. Look had opened her life to him, her family, her dreams, her trust, and he hesitated as if he did not believe in her. The next morning, he told her he would do it. All of it. The full investment. She cried with happiness. Kissed him again and again. Told him he was the best man alive, that they would build something beautiful together, that he would never regret this. We partners now, she said. Real partners forever. The money transfer happened in stages. First 100,000 pounds to secure permits and begin construction, then another 62,500 pounds as construction progressed. Somchai provided regular updates, construction photos, receipts for materials, permits with official stamps. Everything looked legitimate, looked real. By September, Bob had transferred 162,000, 6.5 million baht. His savings had dropped from 435,000 pounds to about 250,000 pounds. Still comfortable, still enough to live on. But a huge amount was gone. Look was loving and attentive during this time. She cooked his favorite meals. She massaged his shoulders after long days. She told him how proud she was, how they were building their future together, how her mother blessed them every day. Bob felt good about the investment. Nervous, yes. But good. This was real. This was their business, their future. They were partners. In October, Somchai said construction was almost finished. Only final touches, furniture, landscaping. Bob asked to visit and see the progress. Not good time, Somchai said. Workers everywhere, very messy. Better wait until finished. Maybe 2 more weeks. 2 weeks passed, then 3. Somchai had excuses. Weather delays, permit inspections, furniture delivery problems. Always something. Luke started acting strangely. She was on her phone, constantly, texting in Thai, looking stressed. When Bob asked what was wrong, she said, "Family problems." "Nothing serious, don't worry." "When can we visit the resort?" Bob asked one evening. "Soon." Somchai says maybe next week finished. "You said that 2 weeks ago." "Thai construction always slow. You know that." She snapped at him more often now. Small things set her off. Bob asking about money, wanting to see the resort, questioning Somchai's updates. She would accuse him of not trusting her, of being like every other Farang who thought Thais were all scammers. And Bob would apologize because making her angry felt worse than his doubts. At the beginning of November, Bob made a decision. He would drive to Bangkok himself, surprise them with a visit, and see the almost finished resort with his own eyes. He rented a car. Luke had taken the motorbike to visit her mother. He drove north, following the directions he remembered. 3 hours through the Thai countryside, arriving in Bangkok in the afternoon heat. He found her mother's house easily. An old woman was in the yard, not Luck's mother, someone else. Bob tried to communicate and showed a photo of Luke on his phone. The woman shook her head. "No. I don't know." He found the village chief, a man who spoke some English. Bob explained that he was looking for the Pramwong family, specifically Jintana, whom everyone called Luke. The chief looked confused. "No Pramwong family in Bangkok. Maybe other village." "No, this is the right village. She brought me here. I met her mother in that house," Bob pointed. "That house belongs San family. Very old family here, but no daughter named Jintana." Bob's stomach sank. "What about the land?" 5 rai of land owned by the Pramwong family. "They are building a resort." The chief shook his head. "No new construction here. No resort building." Bob drove to where he remembered the land being. He found the spot, beautiful, 5 rai with trees and a stream. No construction site, no materials, no evidence that anyone had ever planned to build anything. Just empty land, not for sale, not belonging to Luck's family, and probably never having belonged to them. Bob sat in the rented car in the afternoon heat and felt his world collapse. Bob drove back to Pattaya in a daze. 3 hours in which his head spun and tried to make sense of it. Maybe he had the wrong village. Maybe there was another Bangkok. Maybe the chief was mistaken. But he knew the truth. He had known it when the chief said there was no Pramwong family living there. He had simply denied it, refused to accept what was obviously and painfully real. He arrived at the house after dark. Luck's motorbike was not there. Inside, the house felt different, somehow empty. Her clothes were gone. Her toiletries had disappeared from the bathroom. The decorations she had bought, the cushions, the plants, the pictures, everything was gone, even the Buddha statue that had stood on the shelf in the living room. The house had been cleared out, not completely. Bob's things were still there, but everything that belonged to her had vanished. He tried calling her. Phone disconnected. He texted her. Messages were not delivered. He tried Facebook. Her profile was deleted, or she had blocked him. Bob sat on the sofa in the mostly empty house and finally allowed himself to feel the full weight of what had happened. Luke was not who she pretended to be. Her mother was probably not her mother. Bangkok might not even have been her real village. The land did not belong to her family. The resort would never be built. Somche was probably her boyfriend, or brother, or partner in the fraud. She had played a role for 8 months. The sweet bar girl who hated her job. The devoted daughter who sent money so home to her sick mother. The traditional Thai woman who only wanted a good man to build a life with. And Bob had believed every word because he was lonely and grieving and desperate to feel that his life mattered again. He opened his banking app with shaking hands. His current account had a small amount left. His savings account had almost nothing. Total remaining, less than £2,000. He had started with £435,000 8 months earlier. Now he had less than £2,000. He had spent maybe $10,000 on living expenses, rent, daily life. The rest, £162,500 for the fake resort, £1,700 for the motorbike, deposits for the house, money for her mother, regular monthly payments, all gone. 43 years of work on bus routes, in Leeds, in rain and snow and cold. Years of saving and being careful and building security. Gone in 8 months to a 24-year-old bar worker who had smiled at him and called him handsome. Bob called the police from the empty house. They arrived an hour later, 2 officers who looked completely unsurprised by his story. "You have proof?" one asked in broken English. Bob showed them everything. Bank transfers, photos of the land, screenshots of messages with "look," the fake documents Somchai had provided. The officer nodded. "We try find her, but difficult. Name may be fake, phone disconnected. If she leave Pattaya, very hard find. What about the money? Can I get it back? She force you? Threaten? No, but then police cannot do much. You give money voluntary. She, your girlfriend. Thai law very difficult in this case. They took his statement. They promised to investigate. Bob never heard from them again. He tried to find Somchai. The phone number did not work. The address on the fake documents did not exist. He had been part of the fraud from the beginning. Obviously. Probably running this scam with Luke on multiple victims. Bob went to the Lucky Lady bar, where he had first met Luck. The mamasan recognized him. "You look for Luke?" "Yes." "Where is she?" The mamasan shrugged. "She quit long time ago." "I don't know where she go. She didn't quit. She scammed me. Took everything I have." The mamasan's face hardened. "I know nothing about that. Girls come, girls go. Not my business what they do outside bar." Bob stood there helplessly. The mamasan had probably seen this dozens of times, probably had arrangements with girls like Luke, probably got a cut of the scams. He walked back to the house in the dark and wondered what the hell he was supposed to do now. The rent on the house was paid until December. After that, he would need a new place. But he had less than £2,000. His pension had been taken as a lump sum, so there was no monthly income. His state pension would not begin until he was 68, in 2 years. He had nothing. No money, no income, no way to return to England even if he wanted to. No house to go back to, no plan, except to try to survive until his state pension began. Bob sat on the floor of the empty house and cried. Great, sobbing tears that made his chest hurt. Margaret's ring hung over his heart, and he whispered apologies to her ghost. I'm sorry, love. I'm so sorry. I threw away everything we built. Everything you worked for. I'm sorry. The house lease expired in December. Bob could not afford to renew it. He moved into a guest house on Soy Buakaw, a run-down place where rooms cost 4,000 baht a month, about 100 pounds. The room was tiny, a mattress on a concrete floor, a broken fan, a shared bathroom down the hall. It smelled of mold and cigarettes and defeat. His money evaporated. Food, rent, phone credit, electricity, even living cheaply. He was burning through his remaining savings. By January, he was down to 800 pounds. He tried to find work, but who hires a 66-year-old British man with no Thai language, no work permit, and no relevant skills for the Thai market? He put up flyers offering English lessons. £10 an hour. He got one student, a Thai university student, who took 2 lessons and disappeared. He did odd jobs when he could find them. Helped expats move furniture, proofread English documents, anything that paid cash. He could maybe earn £50 or £100 a month, nowhere near enough. He called Susan. Confessed everything. Every pound lost, every mistake made. She was silent for a long time after he finished. I tried to warn you, Dad. I know. I told you not to invest. I know, sweetheart. I know. I want to help, but we're tight ourselves. The mortgage, the kids' school fees, everything is expensive. I can maybe send £200 a month. That's all I can manage. That's too much, Susan. I can't. You don't have a choice. You're my father. I'm not letting you be homeless in Thailand. She started sending £200 a month. Combined with his occasional work, Bob had maybe £250 to £300 a month. Just enough to survive, barely. His diet became rice and eggs, cheap vegetables from the market, the occasional luxury of chicken when he had earned extra money that week. He lost weight rapidly. His clothes hung loose, his face became sunken. His visa was running out. He had been in Thailand on visa exemptions and tourist visas. To stay long-term, he needed a retirement visa or another option. But all of them required minimum income or money in the bank, which he did not have. He could not afford to leave, could not afford to stay, could not afford anything. In February, desperate and broken, Bob found a volunteer opportunity at a place called the Small Organization, run by an older British woman named Margaret, the name hitting him like a punch, that helped scammed expats. They offered basic accommodation, food, support groups, and help navigating Thai bureaucracy. You are far from the first, Margaret told him gently, and you will not be the last. These girls are professionals. They target men like you. Lonely, grieving, vulnerable. They know exactly which buttons to push. The shelter was full of men like Bob, British, American, Australian, all between 60 and 75. All told versions of the same story. Young Thai woman, declarations of love, business investments, or sick water buffalo, or family emergencies, then disappearance with everything. She told me she loved me, an old American said during a support group. Called me her soulmate. I believed her because I needed to believe her. Bob understood completely. He stayed at the shelter, volunteering, in exchange for accommodation and meals. He helped new arrivals process their losses, contact their families, try to rebuild. He became the cautionary story he had once rolled his eyes at. Bob is now 67. He has been living for 9 months at the Expat shelter, volunteering and waiting for his state pension to begin in a year. The shelter is dormitory style, a room he shares with 3 other men, communal meals, strict rules about alcohol and behavior. But it is clean, it is safe, and everyone there understands without judging. He has lost 30 pounds. His hair has turned completely gray. He looks older than 67. He looks like what he is, a broken man who bet everything on a dream and lost. His state pension will be about £800 a month when it begins. Not much, but enough to rent a small room, eat properly, survive with dignity. He just has to make it 1 more year. Susan still sends £200 a month. Paul once sent money with a short email saying he was sorry he had been distant. David has not made contact. Bob volunteers at the shelter and helps new arrivals process their losses. Last week, a 72-year-old man from Liverpool arrived, having lost everything to a bar girl who promised to open a salon. Bob sat with him, made tea, listened to the familiar story. "How do you move on?" the man asked. "How do you live with being such a fool?" "One day at a time, mate," Bob said. That's all you can do. Bob thinks about luck sometimes, more than he should. He wonders whether she ever felt anything real for him, or whether every word, every smile, every kiss was acting. He wants to believe some of it was real, that maybe she liked him a little, even if it was not enough to stop the scam. But he knows the truth. He was never Bob to her. He was a target, a retirement account, with a heartbeat. She played the role perfectly. The sweet bar girl who hated the work, the devoted daughter supporting her family, the traditional woman looking for a good man to build a life with. And he believed everything because he was grieving and lonely and desperate to feel that he mattered. Because after Margaret died, and after his children drifted away, and England felt like a grave, he needed someone who saw him, who wanted him, who made him feel alive again. Thailand did not do that to him. Luke did not even do it entirely. He participated in his own destruction. He ignored warnings. He dismissed his daughter's concerns. He chose fantasy over reality because reality was unbearable. That is the real lesson. Not that Thailand is dangerous, or that all Thai women are scammers, or that relationships with large age gaps always fail. The lesson is simpler. Grief makes you vulnerable, and some people can smell vulnerability like blood in the water. He was vulnerable. Luke smelled it. She played the role he needed her to play until there was nothing left to take. Bob did not fall in love with a bar girl. He fell in love with the dream she sold him, a dream of love, partnership, meaning, of mattering to someone. And that dream cost him £433,000 and his dignity. Margaret's ring still hangs around his neck. He touches it sometimes and apologizes. "I'm sorry, love. I threw away everything we built. I know you'd be disappointed in me." But sometimes he thinks maybe Margaret would understand. Maybe she would see that he was not chasing youth or sex or some midlife crisis fantasy. He was chasing hope. He was trying to survive the grief of losing her by finding something, anything, that made life seem worth living again. Luke knew exactly what he needed to believe, and she delivered it perfectly until his bank account was empty. His state pension begins in 12 months. 12 more months of dormitory beds and communal meals and support groups where men tell their versions of the same story. If he can make it 12 months, life will become a little more bearable. Not good, not happy, just bearable. Maybe that is enough. Maybe survival is a victory when you have lost everything. The sun sets over Pattaya. The shelter is quiet. In a few hours, Bob will lie down on his dormitory bed and try to sleep. Despite the snoring of the other men and the weight of everything he has lost. And tomorrow he will wake up and survive another day, because that is all there is left to do. Survive. Bob Langford now volunteers every day at the Expat shelter and greets new arrivals who stumble through the door with the same dazed expression he wore 9 months earlier. Men who believed in love, who thought they had found happiness, who lost everything to women, who saw them as transactions instead of human beings. I didn't fall in love with a bar girl, Bob tells them. I fell in love with the dream she sold me. And she knew exactly which dream she had to sell. Some men arrive angry, swearing revenge, convinced they will get their money back. Bob lets them rage until exhaustion takes over. Then he makes them tea and explains reality. The money is gone. The women are gone. The dreams were always fiction. Some arrive in denial, still believing their girlfriends loved them, despite the empty bank accounts. She had an emergency, they say. Family crisis. She will pay me back. Bob recognizes that denial. He lived in it for weeks. He gently shows them the pattern, helps them see what they are not yet ready to see. Some arrive already broken, understanding exactly what happened, needing only a place to land while they figure out how to survive. Bob helps them the most because he knows their journey. He is living it. Margaret, who runs the shelter, tells Bob he is her best volunteer. You speak their language, she says. You walked their road. They trust you because you don't lecture. You survive beside them. The shelter survives on donations from expats who avoided these scams or learned the lesson cheaply. It is always underfunded, always struggling, but it is a lifeline for men who have nowhere else to go. Bob's state pension begins in 8 months. He counts the days. £800 a month. Enough to leave the shelter, rent a small room, eat properly, live with some dignity. Not the retirement he imagined, but better than where he is now. He will stay in Thailand when the pension begins. Not because he loves it here, but because he cannot afford to go back to England. He cannot afford deposits and rent, cannot bear the looks from his family and former colleagues, cannot bear being the cautionary tale people whisper about. At least in Pattaya, he is one of many cautionary tales. The city is full of men who lost everything through beautiful lies. He is not unique. Just another old fool who thought loneliness could be cured with attention from a pretty young woman. His daughter Susan calls every week now. She has forgiven him, or at least stopped blaming him. She understands that he was drowning in grief and grabbed at anything that looked like rescue. You're not a fool, Dad, she said last week. You're a human being who made a mistake. A really expensive mistake, but still only a mistake. 433,000 is more than a mistake. Sweetheart, I know. But you're still my dad, and you're still here. That counts for something. Bob does not tell her about the nights when he considered not being here anymore. The nights when survival seemed harder than stopping. The nights when the weight of his mistakes seemed too heavy to carry for one more day. But he is still here, still surviving, still helping other men navigate the same shame, and the same loss, and the same broken dreams. Last week, a 70-year-old German man arrived at the shelter, having lost everything to a woman who said she loved him, who promised forever, who disappeared with his life savings the moment his bank account was empty. "How do you forgive yourself?" the German asked Bob. "How do you wake up every day knowing what you did?" Bob thought carefully. "You don't forgive yourself. Not completely. You just accept that you were human. Lonely, vulnerable, desperate for connection, and someone's exploited that. That doesn't make you stupid. It makes you human. Does it get easier?" "No," Bob said honestly. "It gets familiar. You learn to carry it, but it doesn't get easier." The German nodded, understanding in his eyes. Bob Langford is 67 years old, living in a shelter for scammed expats, surviving on his daughter's charity and occasional cash work, waiting for a pension that will give him just enough to exist, but never enough to thrive. He lost his wife to cancer. He lost his savings to a scam. He lost his dignity to loneliness and grief and desperate hope. But he did not lose his humanity. He helps others who fell into the same trap. He offers them tea and understanding, and the hard truth that recovery is not about getting the money back. It is about learning how to survive with what remains. This is Bob's story. A cautionary tale written in empty bank accounts and broken dreams. A reminder that scammers do not only steal money. They steal hope, dignity, and the belief that love can heal grief. But he is still here, still surviving, still proof that even when you have lost everything, you can find something worth living for by helping others who have walked the same painful road. Every morning, he touches Margaret's ring through his shirt. "I'm still here, love. Still trying. Hope that counts for something." And maybe it does. Maybe survival is its own kind of redemption. That is all Bob has left. But on some days, it feels like enough.